For this course, we will need a local server since we will develop the project first in local mode, that is, in our computer. And then when we finish it, we will upload it to a remote server to a hosting. A local server simulates the tasks a hosting does when working with PHP and Apache module. So we will need to install it in our computer. There are several options for a local server on the internet to download. We have Champ, we have WAMP server, we have EasyPHP, we have WAMP, MAMP for Mac, LAN for Linux, and we have Bitnami, among others. You can have more than one installed in your computer, there's no problem. For this course, we are going to use the local server Champ. This is the one I usually use when developing with PHP. Why am I specifying what local server am I going to use? Because between all the local servers, there are two files that are different depending on the local server you're using. So, to avoid differences or issues with what I teach you, or maybe you have problems with object-oriented programming in PHP because the version could be the same, but the php.ini file is configured in a different way, or the same happens with the Apache module and httpd.conf file could be configured in a different way in this local server. So let's use the same local server and the same configuration. You can download Champ with PHP version 7.1.12 from apachefriends.org, or we can search on google.com the word Champ and we can choose the same link I'm talking about. When you're in there, you have the latest version for Windows to work with PHP in its version 7.1.12. Click on it and wait for it to download. For example, in my case, I already had Champ in my computer and in PHP 5.6 version. So I didn't have to delete that Champ. I just had to choose a different folder than the version I already have installed. If you go to local disk C on Windows, after the installation, you will see a folder called Champ. So what I did was create a folder with the name Champ2. So before the installation, I selected this folder to install the new version. When I have Champ installed in my computer, here I'm downloading it. When it's done, I will show you the installation process. You can go to this Champ folder and click on champ-control-exe, and this is the file that will open the Champ control panel and start the local server. If you don't have all the local servers opened, Champ will use the 80 port by default. If you want to configure the port on Apache module or MySQL module, you can click on config and select the configuration name file httpd.conf, and it will open in Notepad or the text editor you have by default. Then you should look for the line where the port 80 is being set, so you can modify it for another port number if you want to change it, or you can leave it like that, there's no problem. If you keep 80 port set, it will allow you to go to your browsers and type this keyword localhost. You can enter to the dashboard of your local server and you don't need to start it with the special ports. By default, the 80 port is the same localhost, but if I create an additional port, for example 8080, so it will show an error. It couldn't be found because it's configured in the default port. Here it says we are in 80 port and MySQL is in 3306. If you don't want to start these two ports manually, you can go to the control panel config button and check them to auto start when the Champ control-exe is launched. Then you click save and that's it. So I recommend that this Champ control-exe, you can send it somewhere you can locate it easy, like pin to start, or send to desktop, create shortcut, or pin to taskbar. I don't know, it is up to you. It is important that you close it when you finish using it so you can work with other local servers you may have installed in your PC. Okay? Everything you are going to develop and use with Sham goes inside a folder called htdocs. As you can see, I have a lot of projects here that I developed in PHP 7 and the same folder in the other Sham server that are for PHP 5.6 version. So all these projects we are going to work on should be saved inside htdocs folder. Let's create a folder called POS. This is going to be our project, and we are going to save the files for this tutorial and differentiate it from other projects you may have in now or later. Sham download is almost finished. Hold on a second. There it is. When you click on the installation launcher and it opens, it will ask what folder is going to be saved. So let's wait a bit to open the window. So to this message you can click yes and then okay, next, next, and this is the place where I have to identify what folder I'm going to use to save the sham installation. So if you have it already installed, so what you can do is create another folder and call it sham3, for example, to differentiate it from the others. And then you can click here and then click next. I will cancel the installation because I already have it. How can you check if it's working? As I told you before, we need to open it. For example, I have my shortcut here on start page. I click on it and then the services start right away because I configure it that way here because by clicking these checkboxes, and when I type localhost on my browser, it opens automatically this local server dashboard. It comes with PHP in its version. Let's look in PHP info, version 7.1.7. Now, if I want to open the folder POS created, it will be shown already, and now we can start to fill that up with projects. In the same way I mentioned what local server I am going to use in this course, I will tell you what code editor I'm going to use too for this course. But you can use any editor you want or the one you're familiar with. There are many editors, some of them are free, some are licensed, but basically they are the same. In this case, I will mention some of them. Sublime Text, the one I'm using for this course, Atom, NetBeans, Brackets, Aptana, Visual Studio, among others. Why am I suggesting Sublime Text? Because it has some snippets or plugins that I will use for this course. Probably you can find these snippets for the other editors too, but sometimes when I'm explaining something in the course, I use these shortcuts to speed up actions in coding process. Some people ask why can't they use the same functionality in the editor they're using with the same shortcut, and it doesn't work that way because every editor has their own plugins and shortcuts. Uh, so this is the reason why I'm emphatic on using Sublime Text 3, and these are going to the plugins we are going to install. For downloading Sublime Text, you can go to Google type here Sublime Text and click on the first link to open the main page. If you go for Windows download, you will get the latest version, um, which in this case would be the version 3. Okay, here are the download links if you have Mac, Linux or Windows operating system, or you can even download a portable version. When you finishing downloading and installing, it comes in a version more than a trial version because it's not going to work bad. The only limitation or discomfort you may encounter in this trial version is a window that will keep popping so you get the premium version. But it's a window that you can close with no trouble and keep working in the project. Okay? So there's no problem on using Sublime Text in its trial version. But if you want to buy a license, you can go here. It costs $80 and you can pay with PayPal or credit card. It's not expensive and you won't be bothered by that window anymore when it's asked to get the license version. Okay, so no trouble on working with the free trial version, so you can install it and use it anywhere. Here will appear in the top area a text saying unregistered, but I already bought the license, so I wouldn't have that problem with the pop-up window. Very good. What do we have here in the Sublime Text program? Let's close here. We have this interface where before using these plugins I will mention next, we should have installed something called package control. Um, the package control can be found here on Google. We type package control Sublime and look, it shows you have a page called pagecontrol.io, and then you can check how the installation works clicking in this right side tab, and it shows that for Sublime Text in its version 3 it is really easy. You need to copy paste this and you go to view tab, show console. So you go to the tab view and then click on show console or control plus, and you copy all this line and you paste it in this input here and press enter. Okay, I already have installed, so with escape I can close this window. So now I can click on the preferences tab, and here is a package control module that if I click on it, it will open a window that if I want to close it, I press escape. Let me open it again, and I will select on the list the install package option. Since I have already installed these plugins, I will show them to you already installed in other option called, let me look for it, remove package. That is to say, if I go to install package and I search one of those plugins I already have installed, they won't be listed. Why? Because they are already installed here. But if I go to remove packages, we can see them here. And when I click on any of these plugins, it will be removed from the program. This is the way you can install or uninstall a package in Sublime Text. So we can begin with Emmet. This is a plugin. Let me look for it. Emmet. This is a plugin for Sublime Text that will allow you to resume code lines. For example, I want in HTML syntax. Let's look here, HTML syntax. I want to create an HTML file structure and type in exclamation mark and then pressing Command plus Tab. As you can see, automatically it shows the HTML page structure. In the same way, I can do this with tags like this. So I press tab, so it generates the opening and closing tab. For example, if I want to use several LIs tags, I multiply by 5 and then press tab, and voila, there you have the 5 LIs. If I want to use random text like lorem ipsum, I can write lorem, sorry, um, let's try it again. Okay, I know why. It doesn't work inside the LIs. So let's check inside this div tag. And there you go. Very good. So I type the word lorem and then press tab and it writes a random text. In this way, I can use Emmet to speed up the process of writing code. There's another snippet called Advanced New File that allows you to create a file or a folder inside a project. For example, let's open the POS folder I created before. Become file, open folder, and then htdocs. Select it. Let me close this. So this snippet here helps you to create files and folders with a shortcut. This shortcut is Control plus Alt plus N, and then write the name of the file index.php, and it will be created in the root folder I choose. If I want to create a CSS file called styles.css inside a folder, and I type css slash styles.css and press enter, so here it is. So this is what we use these plugins. We have more plugins to install, and I will explain them on the way. We have alignment used to align code. There's auto file name that shows what files you can choose to reference, like this. Uh, let's go to index.php. We can create a HTML document. We write a link, and then we go to the href, and it shows what files I can choose, and I don't have to write them all the way. Then we have Bootstrap 3 autocomplete that helps to complete the attribute class with the different options Bootstrap has. So it lists all the classes that Bootstrap has. We also have bracket highlighter that shows where is the opening and closing brackets and tags. This line that we see here is thanks to this plugin. It shows where it opens and when closes a tag. The comment snippets is good for commenting for your code in sections, which is good practice by the way, and it is available for CSS, JS, HTML, and PHP. We write com dash section and then press tab, but it is different when we are in HTML. We have to write com dash HTML section and press tab, so it creates a comment section where you can organize your code better, and we can be organized all the way. If we go and do it in CSS, like com dash section and press tab, it won't work. We should select it and then tab, and now it works. And we use the same for JavaScript and PHP. We will also use console wrap, and it is used in JavaScript when we need to know what variable has very quickly. For example, I can create a variable like this and then select the name of the variable, and press the shortcut Control Shift plus Q to console it without having the trouble of writing it every time I need to do this. So let's check. HTML minifier is used to compress mostly our CSS JavaScript files in one line of code. So you can minimize the loading time, and by compressing it, you can avoid people knowing what you developed right away. So you can hide, or not hide, but you can put it difficult to them to know. We also have GS format with each shortcut Control plus Alt plus F, and you can unminify and format JavaScript code, organize and indent the code easily, but we will see it later. And finally, I advise you to install PHP syntax checker that pops out a window alert when something is wrong or missing. All the snippets can be found exactly with these names in the package control section, and it is as easy as click on preferences, then package control, uh, and then install packaging. You look for the name of the plugin by typing it, and then when you find it, you just click on it, and that's it. You just wait a moment while the installation is complete. Some of the snippets are going to be installed in the package settings, others in the other instances of the program, like HTML minifier is in tools, and these are one of and these are the ones we are going to use to build our POS system. There are some personalized settings I did to Sublime Text in its version 3 that I want to show you. First of all, we have a setting user configuration file. By default, in preferences, let's close these files. So here in preferences, we got the default configuration, settings default, and we have settings user, the one you can personalize. So all these codes you will find in Sublime Text are JSON data. Let me explain you how it works. JSON data are a mixture of, let me write it here, are a mixture of arrays and objects in JavaScript syntax. How do you create an array in JavaScript? You open and close brackets, and inside quotation marks you type the elements like index 1, index 2. Okay, if it goes with quotation marks, because it's a string, index 3. So we can use also numbers, or we can use variables like variable saludo, variable despedida, variable suma. Okay, now we can create objects, and the JavaScript syntax for objects are inside curly braces. The only difference between arrays and objects is that objects have properties and values. For example, we write property 1 colon value 1, and for separating elements we use comma, and so we write property 2 colon and value 2. Understanding that this is an object, let me write it properly, and this is an array, JSON data mixes these two characteristics of syntax. If you look at this code, it starts with an open curly brace. In other words, it's an object, where we have a first property referring to the color scheme, and then its value inside quotation marks. And by comma, we separate the next property is font size and a value, the numeric, we don't need quotation marks. Then the third property is Boolean, so we can write true or false. Then it goes ignore packages. So we are going to create an array. So inside there is one value or one index, and I can create more if I want, separated by comma. Then it goes another one, and then another one, and the last one it has to be without comma because it will be a conflict between the syntax of JSON. So, and this is the way is built the Sublime text file. So for the personalized configuration for my Sublime text, I have for color scheme is always this package available for the look and feel. And this color scheme is the default one, monok.tm theme. So you can take a screenshot and then you write it to your settings. Then the font size is the 12, is in size 12. Highlight modify tabs is true. Ignore package, the package vintage. Open files in a new window is going false. And here is another property that is not by default. I added it. Is save on focus lost, and the value is true. It means that if I open a file and I change something, it goes yellow and a circle besides. It means that it haven't been saved. So I don't have to go and press Control S and save. So if I change my window, immediately and automatically it saves anything you have worked on. Okay, and now we have tab size 4, and these are my configuration I have in Sublime. I also have added some personalized shortcuts to the key bindings user tab. This is the shortcuts configuration file for users. How do you build a shortcut code for key binding user? With an array like this, and then inside the array create an object like you see here with the following properties and values. So what do we use this shortcut for? For example, I like a shortcut I could hide and show the sidebar menu. You can find it here, and I already put the shortcut. So if I want to add it, I go to preferences, key bindings user, and I start the JSON code, JSON data in this case, opening an array, and its index 0. I will write an object with a first property keys, its value inside brackets that will be control plus point inside quotation marks. I use comma to separate properties and add the next property command that will be executed, and the command will be toggled sidebar. So you can hide and show with the same shortcut control plus point. Okay, these are personalized settings I did for my Sublime text to speed up the coding process. For the example, in color scheme, I'm using monok theme, but you can change it. There's no trouble. But if you ask me what color scheme I will choose, I'd say the one I'm using right now, for Monokai. Now we get in business. For this POS system project we are starting, we will use the AdminLTE template as a base. Why are we going to use this template? This is a template specially developed for dashboards where you can administrate content for an informatics system. In this case, we will use this template because it is a free template and because its characteristics will help us to speed up the process and the development project. This template is based in HTML5, CSS3, uses a framework called Bootstrap in its version 3, but it is in its version 4 now, but the template was made with Bootstrap 3 and the developer have not updated it yet because Bootstrap 3 is still functional. The changes from the update were minimal. It was only class names or expanding the grid. There was 12 columns, but now there's 2 more. This is the reason why there's no problem for working with Bootstrap 3. We have jQuery in its version 3, installed in the template, jQuery UI, among other plugins and CSS JavaScript files. When you download it, what characteristics can you find? The first and the very important one is that you don't need to fight with building an HTML structure and responsive design because everything is functional. You just have to copy paste the modules as you need them and you just have to worry for the backend development that consists in how you manage and save data in the database. As I mentioned, you can work by modules. You don't need to use every module inside the template. You just need to use the what you need for the project. So there's no problem. Very important. We need to identify the classes that help to interpret the template. When we start to build modules, the template has predefined classes that will let you know what kind of module you're building. If you are building a box, a table, a sidebar menu, or a tab, whatever. The template has that classes. We need to learn how to identify them and interpret them so we can work with them as we want. As the same happens with the plugins, so we need to identify and know when to use them depending on the functionality we want and what files have to be modified, like CSS or JavaScript, or what components uh, we have to put on in order to work as expected, or we just have to use JavaScript or CSS or just CSS. And this part of this course help you to understand from the very beginning how can you exploit all the goods in the template, not only for this project, also for other projects you may want to do. And this is an open source code, so you can modify it, enhance it, and do whatever you want. If you destroy it or if you mismatch something, you can download it. We can go to Google, AdminLTE, and just click on this. And I think this is the template example. So let's go back and find the official page. Not with the preview slash, just the adminlte.io. So here's the overview where they explain what the template can be used for, and everything is I already said. This is a very complete control panel that has more than 1.5 million downloads. Here you can find another premium templates that you have to pay if you want. But for now, we just click on download. Periodically, this template it has been updated, so now we will work with the 2.4.2 version. For example, in my last course, I used on how to build an e-commerce Um, if you are enrolled, congratulations, you will learn a lot. But if you don't, just check the presentation video so you can get how is the reach of this course has on creating an e-commerce. So there I'm using AdminLTE 2.4.0, but now we are going to use the AdminLTE 2.4.2, and then when you downloaded it, you just unzip it inside htdocs. I already have this version 2.4.0 on my e-commerce course, but I also have AdminLTE 2.42. That's the one I'm going to use for this course. So when you downloaded it and you unzip it, you don't need to use a local host and then type admin. No, you don't have to do that because you have a HTML file. Sorry, you can open the index.html in your browser, and without any local server connection, you will be able to see it anyway. Before we start knowing the template, the reach it has, and advantages, let's check how the structure. First of all, the template has two possible versions, Dashboard 1 and Dashboard 2. Dashboard 1 is basically this homepage where in the first option we have for this homepage this design with these boxes in the top area, with these colors, with these numbers, these icons. We have sales graphs, visitors graphs, structured chat modules, other sales graphs. We have lists, calendars, an email module to write and send messages, okay, with a rich text editor. This will be version 1. Let's go to version 2. It is practically the same, but they changed this design and modules appearances. Now the top area has a different appearance. The icons are in different positions. This graph is different than the one we saw on dashboard 1, and get new models like this goal competition, ranking, other map for visitors report, other widgets like for measuring, um, different chats, latest members. We have pie charts, products list, popularity, recent activity. So these are dashboard 1 and dashboard 2. These other elements down here are the same for both dashboard. For example, layout options um, is we have the top navigation option. We have boxed layout. Uh, they are these kind of boxes. So you can use this layout box class to the body tag to get this layout. We have the fixed layout that you can use it when the sidebar is bigger than your content, and it will open on the top of it. And then we have the collapse sidebar layout where you can hover the icons and you can see what's inside, but you also have the option to open it from the hamburger icon, and this is the one what we need to to use it in our project. So we will need to inspect the code so we can identify what classes need to be used to collapse the sidebar menu, but we will do that later. We have widgets that are tools or resources for module or pages loading, and a wide variety of functions that will help us to create a complete personalized dashboard. So we have charts like chart.js, like Morris.js, float, inline charts that mainly uses jQuery knob, Um, we have the UI elements, so user interface elements. This is the general tab that has color palette, custom tabs. We have icons. The template works with phonosome, glyphicons, and other one called ion icons, but it's not listed here. We also have buttons that work with bootstrap classes. We have let me check. We have sliders to make controls. We have timelines where we can show that events that happen throughout the time, and this is the markup. This is the markup. Um, we have different model boxes layout, but you can use the functionality Bootstrap provides and then change with HTML and CSS to a better design. We have forms options, inputs with general elements. Then we have advanced elements that use more stylish checkboxes. For example, you can delete them as you please. We have uh, we have these inputs like with mask things. We have day range. We have checkboxes. We have color picker. Um, just just click here and we will select the color. The time picker to select timetables. It is a very complete template. As you can see, we can work with simple tables or more complex ones using the plugin data table. We can use calendar plugins to make an agenda, to make the mailbox plugin if you want. You can implement in a mailing module. We have examples of pages like invoice page, profile. We have register. We have lost screen. Okay, to recover your password. We have a 404 page, 500 error, blank page. Anyway, we have the multi-level page menu that goes up to 3 levels because is recommended by usability standards, but you can add more levels if you want. Documentation it shows the way you can implement everything, but I will do it very easy. Well, after you download the template, you see all the pages that we you just looked are built in HTML. For example, if you go here, as I'm showing you through the pages, there are all the content I just explained. Collapse sidebar, we can go to mailbox, um, we can go back to page and the tables, uh, the user interface, the calendar, and the widgets. Everything is there for you, so you can use everything you want. Now, from this template, we will use some plugins that I will show you in the next video. Hey there, let's talk about plugins and extensions that we will use in this project. There are some plugins that can be developed with jQuery, that is a JavaScript library, or they can be developed purely in JavaScript. Some of them need CSS style sheets that we're going to use in this project. At first, we have Bootstrap in its 3.3.7 version, which we will need the CSS and JavaScript files from. We have another plugin called Phonosome that basically uses icons in form of fonts. Then we have ion icons that is part of the template, and we can take it from there to use other set of icons that we can't find at Font Awesome. We should use the theme style AdminLTE, so we have the same pattern design. And because we need to use the classes for the template, same as the skins we will use. We will use the blue skin, but there are several options like red, black, green, but this is the one we will use. There is a Morris chart plugin where we need to use the CSS and JavaScript files for graphs. The next plugins have their official page where you can check how to use them. Let's check. If you want, we can go to Google and look for Morris chart, and it will list first the GitHub page with some examples, and these examples like inline graphs, bar graphs, field graphs, um, and then we have pie chart, pie graphs. Okay, here they explain the functionality, what we should install, what the extension are, uh, how you should build the HTML structure and how to work. All these plugins, as I said, have their web pages where you can study how they work. AdminLTE is using them and have some JavaScript examples that we can copy from, and don't complicate things too much. We replace some data for our own, and we will use date range picker, and we will need to modify CSS and JavaScript files. We have data table that in an AdminLTE comes a little bit limited, but I will show you how to work in a deeper level, learning how to make responsive tables, implement dynamic tables, and use more data table extensions. The data table web page is really complete. Okay, let's type here. You can find in examples a wide range of examples and everything that you can do with it. But something that is really important and in this course is a plus, and it is a difficult to find instructions for that, is how to work with it from server sides, because what they do is print all the information in the HTML and hide some information. Okay, so let's check a basic table. So let me find it. Basic, yes. Let it open. Okay, if we have a basic table like this, as you see, there are 57 entries, and what the table does is print them all, but hides or masks with JavaScript the ones that you don't see here. If you go to the source code, okay, let me show you. Okay, everything is in the HTML. So let's go to the source codes, and you will see the whole list, and that's not good for good practice. So what we're going to do is server side is calling only by rows as we need them. So if you need to show 10 entries, it will print only 10 in the HTML because we don't need all 57 entries. The purpose is optimize the loading time of the page. If you have very big database where you have more than 500 products and you load them in the first place, that the system will take a lot of time to display the information to the user and won't be able to navigate through the table. Okay, I I will teach you this with one example. It could be the products tab because it's the one that may have more entries. We have iCheck plugin for the checkboxes you saw before in the template for forms that are very nice. We have jQuery knob for charts and graphs. We have chart.js also for graphics, and you only need to edit JavaScript files. Input max to mask inputs. For example, a telephone input will let you type only numbers and a specific set of numbers, or the same for dates or whatever you want to do. Sweet Alert is a plugin that is not part of AdminLTE, but I will teach you how to implement it and style it so we can get an alert when a new user or a product is added or deleted, confirmation alert, and so on. You know? Okay. jQuery number is another extra plugin that is not part of AdminLTE. It is used for format numbers of prices. In PHP, we have the format number by default, but for jQuery or JavaScript, we need to use this plugin for to format these prices. Okay, um, and at last, we have AdminLTE app that is the main JavaScript file of the template that we need to manipulate for default interactions. So we are going to add this set of plugins as we need them throughout the process. But for your consideration, there are a lot of plugins inside AdminLTE that we are going to use, and for you to know that these are the ones that we will implement in this project. But you have a big set of plugins available for other kind of projects, and depending on how you learn to use these ones, you will be able to work with the others. And finally, we have the TCPDF extensions. That this is a PHP extension that will allow us to print PDF files. We will implement it when we need to print invoices for sales done in the system. This extension is part of the template, so you can go to the web page if you want for more information. Okay, check here. This is an open source project, and this only prints from PHP any PDF file you like. Here are examples on how to use it, and sometimes it gets really complicated, but I will teach you in a way that will be easy for you to understand and manipulate this extension as you like. Okay, this is for all now. This is all for now, so see you on the next video.